on there for the second time in 3 years, one in 2018 with Ranger and Titan. As well as the teams load onto the Rift here, it is the red side Deathbush again. Skuro with a max range hook to get the heck out of dodge.
It gets out, no summoners blown either, and that is a win. So we get to see the draft properly now. It is going to be that Graves for Parang in the top lane, and Graves is a good answer to Gwen. It was actually one of the earlier answers that people discovered. You've got the mobility to dash away, and with the smoke screen as well, you kind of get to pick when you want to fight. The only thing you have to be careful of is that Hallowed Mist by Gwen to stop the range damage from coming through. But that aside, you should have a very comfortable lane. And so KabuM's composition to me feels a bit like a win lane, win game style composition here. They need to get off early. If they hit the mid game and they're dead even, I'm going to be worried. They don't have a true tank, and I don't consider engage supports true tanks. They don't have enough income to really survive a lot of the engages, and INTZ, they'll be able to skill up. They'll be able to pop, kick, especially on this LeBlanc, if allowed to get into the mid to late game unchecked, will absolutely be able to burst down almost anybody from KabuM's side fairly quickly.
Yep, and I think you hit the nail right on the head. Their engage support is a better descriptor of that as opposed to tank support, and because that's exactly what it is. You're there to start fights off, but the second that that fight gets going, especially if like Aftershock is down, if your shield's down, clips if you're Leona, right, that gets a lot harder. Yeah, no true tank, but the scaling will feel really, really good, and the team fighting front to back isn't even bad, right? I mean, House, the zone control is pretty good with House and Parang as well, but yeah, I think win lane, win game is dead on. Now in the bot lane, that is tougher. Macau and Decoy have drafted themselves a pretty brutal lane as well.
Yeah, and we touch on the fact, that they get hard shove as well, and that's one way to deal with the roaming support is threaten them that, hey, if you leave the lane, we'll look to dive your AD carry here. Caitlyn very, very squishy, and we touch on the fact that Sivir is an enabler. If you go in with a jungler, it's even easier. Decoy gets hit by a hook though, and that's rough to see because the Karma, yes, Karma does bully out Nautilus, but the one condition you need to have that happen is don't get engaged on. And if that hook lands, you tend to lose those trades.
Yeah, just don't get face blasted by the hook, and you've got to be smarter with your poke as well. Meanwhile, House running a little low on mana, and he's getting shoved in here by Kick again, coming up from the INTZ Academy, or rather the Fury Academy, excuse me. Tyron coming over from Furia, and Yampy coming over from Vorax. Woo! Roster swaps, baby. Macau, the only remaining member of this squad. And like you said, Parang on this Graves, one of the few really good answers to when the Jax was taken away. Wouldn't have been surprised to see him on that, but this definitely feels like a champion up his alley as well.
Yeah, now the Graves is vulnerable to ganks though, so I would have liked to see INTZ put some pressure up top. Instead, Yampy actually went down towards this bot side here, and I just don't know what you're hoping to find necessarily against this Kate and Nautilus, especially when they're being shoved under turret. You haven't put enough poke down to set up a dive, and trying to dive with Nautilus is also super, super risky. They're not overextended, so not able to find anything here. And now Parang just puts a ward. They're going to be safe. Really good senses there, because I don't think they actually saw Yampy at any point of the early game.
No, I don't think they did either. You're kind of guessing just that he's going to go bottom to top, and that's fair enough, I guess. If anything, maybe, Desavi and Scrub, but I don't think they left lane. Maybe they saw that, the Scuttle Crab was secured, right? And when Wiz went over to grab his, it wasn't really contested. So you've got some predictors, but you're right. You don't really have any idea. But Parang and Wiz doing a good job of keeping him safe up there, because he's going to get that push. But like you said, he's really, really not safe. You've got one dash and a smoke cloud, but that's about it. And Tyron, Kick, and Yampy have ways to close gaps.
Oh no, 4x4. We just saw the bot laners reset, and I saw what Desavi picked up, and I have now lost all hope for KabuM's bot lane here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When a Caitlyn picks up a Cull, you know something's gone wrong, because you picked the Caitlyn for the early game, and Cull is not an early game item. So there's only two conditions under which you buy a Cull normally for Caitlyn. One is that you're smashing the lane so hard that it does not matter what you buy, and you're deciding to go for investments. Or two, you've decided, I can't win this bot lane anymore. And it feels like the latter. It feels like Desavi is going, I'm just going to farm and let Skuro try and roam.
And Skuro tried to hook, but Macau popped the spell shield immediately. Whiz in as well. Here comes Yampy, though. They found him now, and they are heading for the hills. Skuro, hook is off cooldown, so maybe he's going to try again, but Decoy just out of range of that with the
Engage.
Flame. And now the engage in. Desave raining bullets down, throws the Q out. That's not going to find its mark. Yampy has to flash away, and Whiz is dead meat. Macau's going to go over the wall. Maybe he can W back. He's fine. Dead meat, 4x4. What are you talking about? That's a Lee Sin, baby. Good for Desave for having the wherewithal to go up and grab him.
Welcome back to CBLOL, Wiz. This is what we remember him for when he was lost in CBLOL. Incredible mechanics. And I'm going to say this up front. Yes, that looked really flashy, but it was a terrible play by KabuM to have to put themselves into that position. Wiz able to barely get out, will lose tempo, though has to reset. And Desave and Skuro, they don't really net too much out of that particular set of plays. Desave is still not in a great position in this lane. Skuro had to reset, Decoy going to reset, and they're going to get right back into it. And now the question to me is, on this reset, does Decoy still go back down to help Macau shove? Or do we see the standard, supports have reset, let's go roam mid style strategy that CBLOL tends to employ for their supports?
And do you do it on Karma? And it seems like he's going to, if nothing else, to match Skuro. Maybe you can't do much, but having another body there, Skuro been money with the hook so far. Kick is going to dash to safety. And House didn't blow the ultimate either.
Yeah, and this was kind of the reason why I was a bit curious to see if Decoy would go there. Because, yes, you can match the roam, but do you really get anything from that there? That's a LeBlanc. So you can distort to safety anyways. And if Kicks already burnt the distort, then they're not probably going to get out even with the shield from the Karma anyways. So Decoy just there really for the moral support, and instead there was no big advantage. Now Macau did reset on that, so yeah. I guess that the call was kind of like, you know what, I need a reset anyways. Decoy, just go help out, throw a Q or something, just get a little bit of poke down. So it ends up working out, and the top lane continues being completely isolated. Parang and Tyrion going toe-to-toe, and so far, actually, Parang not able to find a significant lead.
No, he's up 4 CS, but for all intents and purposes, like you said, it's dead even. Tyron has gone into the boots first, and Parang opting for a little more sustain in this lane. He's got Biscuit, he's got 2 pots, and he's got a Vamp Scepter. Don't think he needs any more than that. Tyron wasn't thinking he was going to take Ignite into this matchup, but no, it still wouldn't have been the right call, I don't think. But either way, KabuM, first ones of the Dragon. Decoy, all you can do is kind of sit there and watch KabuM walk away with the first objective.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought it's a little bit risky from KabuM, but they did see Kick basing, and I thought that was the perfect time to do it. You've got a numbers advantage. Parang actually rotated all the way to mid as well to allow House to kind of shade down there, because Parang's been just perma pushing the top lane. And KabuM, good macro plays. They're still coming back into it, but so far, I'm not too upset with what we've been seeing from INTZ. Like I said, I had concerns about how disparate their roster was, but they're doing fine so far. Their draft has been really, really solid, and I'm still waiting for either team to figure out how they want to play this out. And KabuM, we said they're the one with the sort of win lane, win game composition. They've got a lot of damage, but they don't have a lot of tankiness, so I'm still waiting for them to find a good early move. Wiz has looked at the bot lane, didn't pan out. Maybe look at the top. Maybe look for that Gwen. If they ever let Tyrion out of under turret, it's gankable.
Yeah, and I think that because they have this, like you were saying, more win lane, win game, they've got to make a move, like you were saying. The clock is ticking for them. Yes, this is a lot of high-octane, high-damage champions, but in a straight-up 5-on-5 on even footing, scaling is going to go the way of INTZ, and Kick on the LeBlanc, and get back to Desave, right? Not the most mobile on Caitlyn. Yampy going to get hit by the gravity field. Ingo goes with the Sonic Wave, kicks him in with the old pop by Yampy as well. Wiz in a bit of a tough spot, and it's actually him who's going to go down. Kick picking up the kill, and he might survive this, or Tyron might survive this rather, and Parang going to get a kill on the back end. Meanwhile, a fight in the mid lane as well as Decoy and Macau roaming up. They catch out Skuro. Gravity field goes down again. Yampy back in the fight. There goes the ace in the hole. It finds its mark. How's going to get the kill on to Kick? Parang will not dodge. The hitbox works out. Macau throws out the boomerang blade and picks up a kill for himself.
And at the end of that, what was that, a 2 for 2? I feel like I lost track of who died and who didn't there in that particular fight. And it's really clutch, considering that INTZ rotated more members sooner. I'm actually surprised they didn't win that fight. And a lot of it came off that gravity field. Yampy taking that extra second to land that damage onto Wiz backfired immensely. That stunned put them in such bad position. And granted, Kick got the first kill, but it kind of didn't matter here because you needed your jungler to be able to contest this. And having Wiz alive means so much more with his mobility, with his slipperiness, than, you know, trying to trade back that 1-for-1 like that.
And now the ping's coming down. Wiz able to get into that bush unbothered, but Tyron unbothered as well, slamming a big old wave, but not quite into the tower. Parang going to pick up all of that. He's got his noon quiver. The opponent coming in for Tyron as well.
And here's the thing about a Graves, right? Graves was annoying to a lot of players in solo lanes, is still annoying to a lot of players in solo lanes, because once he builds a Vamp Scepter, he gets perma push and he gets perma sustain. So you can't really set up a big pushing wave into a Graves. He will just wave clear it. And KabuM, as we saw, is able to do that. I want to see them take advantage of that. The fact that Parang will always rotate first, always have first movers priority. Instead, they don't. And Herald's once again being started by INTZ, and KabuM have just decided, you know what? We're just going to farm. We're going to let that happen. I just don't know if it's worth it. Are they able to get enough plates? Desave has gotten, what, 2 plates down at the bot side? Great, kind of, but I think you need 3 or more to make this one worth.
Yeah, like you said, as Caitlyn, you ideally want a tower down by 14 minutes. And the Cull definitely set him back, but he's still on a noon quiver and a pickaxe. He's still, you know, yes, he's 2 kills down, but he's up to CS. He has been able to get the push. The wave clear is pretty nasty still. So the Cull is a bit of a question mark ping, but he's been making do, all things considered, but it's still not ideal.
Oh, okay, I really like this bat movement from KabuM here, because remember I said I want to see 3 or more plates? They already got the 3 plates, and now they're sending bodies down here to secure more. They want to get first start, and if you get that with the Cull, never mind, that's a winning Cull there.
Yeah, all's well that ends well. Yampy showed up and bailed out the rest of the lane. Like you said, they sent down bodies, but Decoy called in for backup, and Yampy was able to get himself down there. He's got the Herald as well. Desave taking a whole lot of damage, my goodness. Yeah, Macau means business. He's very low on mana, but he doesn't really need it to do that much damage. He's got his ultimate. Let's see how they want to set up this dive. Wiz has his as well. Yampy, let's see if he can find himself a snack. Let's see how they want to set up this dive. Macau doesn't have a lot of mana. Maybe they don't.
Yeah, you can't really dive this when Wiz is in the area as well, in equal numbers with the turret. KabuM will win out there, so wise of INTZ to back off, but you can already see the threat, and that's what I'm talking about with the Sivir against the Caitlyn. Caitlyn's got better poke, better range, but when it comes down to the actual fight, the all-in there, Sivir will very rapidly outdamage the Caitlyn. So the Save isn't safe to be left alone, and not only is Mikau going to scale up better, Mikau already has 2 kills under their belt from that Herald fight as well. So it gets really, really dicey now, and KabuM didn't manage to take that bot lane turret. I want to see them go back, finish that off ASAP, and get the Save the heck out of that bot lane ASAP.
Yeah, he's got it. I think cracking open that tower will go a long way into doing that. He's going to slam a wave into the tower. Maybe they're able to finish that off. Right now, the priority is the dragon. Able to do it pretty easily here. The map movement by KabuM, like you were saying, RMC, has been pretty dang good so far.
Unfortunately, Yampy not seeming to be able to replicate the success that he had with Liberty last year so far. 0-2 has been farming decently, but on a Shinzao, it's not about the farm, it's about your pressure. And so INTZ, yes, the skilling is good for them, but look at that, not a single plate on the map so far. They not gotten a single dragon, and the one Herald they have, they haven't dropped it yet. We're past the 14-minute mark, so at this point, the Herald's just good for pressure or taking a turret straight up.
Yeah, the immense value that you get out of that first one kind of went out the window. Now the bot lane tier 1 still uncracked, and Macau up 2 kills, but both ADCs on their mythics right now, and the lethality has come in a little bit for Desave as well. No Wiz this time around. See if they go for something here, but no Yampy either, right? He's looking for that spot, RMC, to drop the Herald. Where do you think they do that? Let's see here. House got himself a push. He's able to get Yampy off the Drake. It's a Chemtech Rift, as the the Fart Drake Rift, as some are calling it. But that has come up here. Top lane still really, really isolated, but that could change here at the 14-minute mark. Herald's going to be dropped in that bottom lane. I think that was probably the move. Now Skuro maybe looking for something. Can't get it. Macau's been too clean with the spell shields. It's pretty telegraphed. But now the kick, very nicely done on the Yampi. He's going to try to grab Skuro on the way out, and he does. And a kill over the decoy as well as he drops the Ignite to help him out. Chaos Storm comes out, but it's not doing much. House is going to help his team get away, and Macau escapes with his life.
Wiz gives and Wiz takes away. This is one of those moments where Skuro is screaming at how his teammates just inted him, because that Dragon's Rage got Skuro killed. Skuro should have been safe, should have been out there. Tyrann and Parang, though.
Ooh, there's the flash. One more stack of needlework to go. Snip, snip, said Tyrann, and he goes down.
Okay, so let's talk about the consequences or what set up to that play there. We're looking at where the Herald's going to drop, and this is why I was screaming for KabuM to go down there and get that first turret ASAP. Because if you don't, we've already seen INTZ are more than happy to focus on that bot side, and with the Herald, they get the easy turret as well here. And even if they didn't get the kills in the back end of it, it was already worth it. We're getting a replay here, the live action replay of the rundown from Tyrann. And this is the problem for the Graves as well. Yes, you've got a lot of mobility, but the moment the slows start to land, unfortunately for Graves, well, time's kind of up. And that's why you take Ghost instead of Flash or Gwen into the Graves matchup. So you can actually run that Graves down. And now INTZ has opened up the map. Yes, they lost that bot lane turret while we're watching the replay. Bot lane is now hyper extended. It's not safe for Parang anymore. INTZ skillings are starting to kick up, and I want to see them, take the fight to KabuM around these objectives. I want to see the setup, the vision, then get Macau to speed up Kick, speed up Yampi, and go dive in, fishing for that backline.
Yeah, Yampi needs to make an impact right now, and unfortunately, he's got good tools to do that. Like you said, between Macau and Decoy, they can zoom on forward. Kick is going to be an ever-present threat. He's got his TP. It is unleashed. He's got flash as well. He's going to be looking for some creative angles to try to get to Sabe or House. Or if Wiz commits a little too far forward, how about Kick? Okay, the depth charge is going to find him. Wiz going to go over, ward hopping in. Ace in the hole will not finish the job. Instead, it'll be Wiz. That does just a little too far forward. Good catch there by KabuM.
That's one of those moments where even if you see the trap go down, you just stand there and pray that your recall completes in time. You are way too far up, and now the rest of the team might suffer for it as House with the storm there.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage there, and Yampi says, get off me, Wiz, but he goes towards House, able to capitalize on that. With the empowered Q, there's the hook. Skuro, he's been on the money with those, but there's no follow-up. House was just too low, but it was a good hook by House, and it gets Yampi off the tower. They might get a mid-tier 1 out of this.
They definitely will. The bigger question is, can they follow up on that tier 2? No, they're going to fall back towards that dragon, towards that bot side, because Tyrann making the right play. They're not trying to TP to back up the team. Instead saying, okay, I'm just going to draw pressure into this side lane. If I take this inner turret here, first we get team infusion gold, and secondly, I get an even longer lane. And Tyrann right now is the big question that KabuM have yet to answer. Who's going to deal with this Gwen? Parang ain't quite there just yet. And even if you send Wiz down with Parang, I think there's a chance that Tyrann might be able to trade 1-for-1.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. He's got Conqueror as well this time around, right? None of that lethal tempo Gwen shenanigans. But Parang did slam immediately into a shield bow. Item's not quite as strong as it used to be, but Graves does get a lot of value out of it. He loves that item. Third Drake coming up here. KabuM's up 2-0 in that respect. Game's still very close. INTZ with that Gwen and the rest of the scaling they've got. That's their condition. This feels like do or die right now for KabuM. It's not like they don't have other lanes of pressure. We'll see how this team fight plays out. Kick, again, looking for a potential way in, looking for a cheeky angle. Parang throws out the smoke shield. He's going to try to dash in and secure it, but this is a top lane, Graves. No, Yampi is going to secure it, and 2-for-1 now is the score in favor of Dragons. Big CC coming in, and it's or rather Kick is going to grab a kill. He's going to try to get out with his life, and it's Parang doing a ton of damage. Kick uses his abilities too well, and over the wall goes Wiz. Followed him. He said, I'm coming with you. And another kill for House as well. KabuM. They fight with the tremendous firepower that they have and run right over INTZ.
And it's critical to note 4x4 that in that particular fight, KabuM was up items when they went into that fight, and they had to pick the fight there. It's funny because KabuM's up goal, but we're talking as if they're behind, and that was because of a lot of this map pressure that INTZ had been putting down. And now KabuM not only solidify their goal lead, but actually secure control of the map for what feels like the first time this game. Well, the second time, I think Wiz took a little bit of control early, but effectively for the first time in the mid game. And they need to continue snowballing this lead. You don't want to go back to that extended laning phase. That does not benefit you here. But now there's no Herald. Dragon's down for another 4 minutes. And most importantly, you didn't actually get the dragon. Yampy still secured it here. So you don't have the threat of Soul in 5 minutes.
No, like you said, Baron going to be up in 3 and change. And it will be that Chemtech Soul, but it's still going to be, or rather, Baron up right now, the Dragon up in 3.5. And how about House? Pumping out a lot of damage. He's another player that we've talked about in kind of less than glowing terms. He's been another question mark in a very middling mid lane champion pool in CBLOL. Top lane stacked, mid lane just kind of 1 or 2 guys, and then a lot of guys that are just looking to prove themselves. But House, he's been tremendous so far.
Yeah, and the question with Howes was never, can he mechanically perform? The question with Howes was always more, what type of player is he really? And last year he was on INTZ as their top laner. He actually did flex the top side, and I think he did pretty well as a top laner. I think better almost than a mid laner, because as a mid laner, his criticism was that he's a KDA player. He's not willing to get his body in there. And in this game so far, he has kind of looked a bit like a KDA player. He's 3-0-4. But he's allowed to do it when the team is playing the way it is. Yeah, because you're all a whole bunch of squishies here. It is kind of every man for himself, especially when Wiz is kicking people into the whole team and there's no tank to soak up that whoever gets kicked in. So that's fine. And I love that KabuM have dropped it this way to allow House to play his most comfortable style while also having it have the most effect. Now, like I still said, though, it's great. Victor scales up amazingly well, but you need to start pushing with it. And House is struggling to push right now because where do you push? Into the LeBlanc? Kick is just dodging around a lot of your damage. And Tyrion, I still don't think you can handle the 1v1 against the Gwen.
No, I'd agree with you. With the immunity, you want to rain down damage from range. Tyrion can pop that Hallowed Mist and negate so much of that. And it's so close, right? If you try to get in range of that, Tyrion is pretty mobile. And yeah, you just call for backup. Kick is there. And Kick can very easily delete you. You are up on items, though, still here, right? We talk about gold and standing gold, and KabuM up 4,000 now, but the item advantage very much still there. Wiz, the Q lands, he's going to take it in, one hop over, and it's the same thing over and over again. We've seen this movie 10,000 times, RMC. Poor Yampy, having an absolutely brutal INTZ debut so far.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing way too hard. It's just that Yappy's a good jungler. And you see, INTZ debut, and I was thinking in my head, like, but Yappy's a vet. This guy's really good. And Wiz is treating him like a kid right now, just drop kicking him left and right. Now, INTZ trying to force this 4v5, but can you actually do it? You're man down.
The Chaos Storm is doing so much damage. Tyrant is left alone. Good night, sweet prince. The damage is just too much. Between Dasave, Parang, and House, they are raining it down, and now they're going to turn their focus to the Baron.
Okay, so here's the problem with what INTZ's trying to do here. Yes, KabuM is squishy, but that means you need to pop somebody immediately. If you're forced to actually stand and team fight them, and you can't kill anybody right off the bat, then you're running into problems. You're fighting them in choke points against a Victor. Sure, Caitlyn just doesn't do that much right now. Dasave isn't a threat, but Parang and House certainly are. They have the AoE, and they're burning everything right now on Wiz, on Skuro. Those are not the right targets. If you're going to go in 4v5, if you're going to go on that one-way mission here, if you're going to be that Suicide Squad, it has to be on House.
Yeah, he's way, way too much of a problem right now. Let's get a replay on this one. It was a bit of an extended fight, but it started out with, of course, Yampy getting picked on.
This is so nasty. Wiz's insect is so clean. And that's their tank, too, that got pegged. Their jungler and their tank, and immediately gets blown up. At this point for INTZ, like, you just should walk away. You should not be re-engaging.
No, like you said, they were going in a little blind. They were going in. It was a numbers disadvantage. Yes, the health bars were chunked down a little bit by the Baron, but Lord in heaven. I mean, Skuro, right, he's not a capital T tank, but he's still disruptive. And like you said, there's just so much damage on this team. You're walking into them? Nah, no thank you. Kick is the only one that could take cheeky angles, and even he would like some vision before he does so.
Exactly. And now with Baron, with soul point secured as well, KabuM are just pushing in. And INTZ, they actually have pretty good wave clear. The problem is it's not safe wave clear. Sivir, very, very short range and actually has to hit one of the minions to get that bouncing blades going. And Kick, LeBlanc has great wave clear as well, but she has to throw her body into it. Desabe actually had to flash from Yampi trying to force the engage. If that had happened 5 minutes ago, I would have loved it. This time, though, it feels a little bit desperate.
Yeah. Feels like it might be too little too late. Now here goes Yampi, though. TP coming in. It's How. Is he going to join the fight? But is it too little too late? He gets his heck. Get out of the way. And now gets jumped on by Yampi, or Tyron, rather. And pops a stopwatch. And Tyron, like you said, maybe that was that last hope.
Goodness.
But it wasn't enough. Ace in the hole is going to take down Yampi, who somehow found himself on the other side. Parang going to get the chains, rather, from Kick. And KabuM will walk away with the victory. Parang just playing with his food at this point. He's 6 levels up on the poor Karma. Just turning around, literally just to get lifesteal back so that he can have, he do his tower dance with a little more health. And now as they play with their food to pad the stats, to get the KDA up, it is KabuM that walk away with the victory.
Parang started playing under the fountain with 70% health. Parang finishes playing under the fountain with 80% health. That is how little.
And he dipped